center. You called me. I've got any help now? Yes. Hang on. I've got police, an ambulance, first responders headed to Emmenberg and Cooley. I need you to tell me what happened. Slow down. Did the car needs help? Okay. And so your wife is injured? Yes. Okay. Yes. And there was in a car accident? Yes, a pipe or something came through her windshield. A pipe did. Pipe? Okay. All right. And I'm going to connect you to medical information, sir. What's your first name? Todd.
The man in the phone call that we are currently listening to is a 46-year-old man that goes by the name of Todd Kendhammer. Many of you may already be familiar with the tragic and controversial details that are about to be explained, and may already be aware of the abundance of observations that can be made regarding the case of Todd Kendhammer. However, it really only takes one word to summarize exactly what this case is not: certain. On the morning of September 16th, 2016, at exactly 8:05 a.m. along the side of a country road in La Crosse County, Wisconsin, Todd Kendhammer finds himself in a state of total panic when a metal pipe flies off of the side of a passing truck and smashes through the windshield of his Toyota Camry. The pipe strikes his wife of 25 years, leaving her with severe injuries to her face, head, neck, and back. Immediately after the crash, Todd finds his vehicle in an awkward position along the side of the road. He quickly throws his vehicle into park and notices that his wife Barbara is no longer responsive. He exits his vehicle and pulls her onto the ground on the side of the road. He then immediately calls 911. Todd's first call to 911 is ended abruptly. He then receives a call back, which is just about where we are now.
Todd, okay, and they're going to help you help her until somebody gets there, okay? Hurry up. You're going to hear a dial tone in the phone ring. Just stay on the phone. Let me talk first when they pick up, okay? Yeah. Communication. Hi, this is Lisa, 911. I've got Todd on the line, reference that accident at Bergen County in County M. He said a pipe or something came through the windshield and hit his wife. His callback number is the number on the header, 608. So he needs some help with her. Go ahead. Okay, we're going to tell me exactly what happened. It got her, and she's hitting the head and in the throat, I think, in the throat or something. She's got blood coming out of her nose and mouth and it's really big and blue. How old is she? 46. Is she awake? No, I can't get her to she talked that first a little bit. Okay, is she breathing? No, I don't think so. No. All right, sir. We do have help on the way. Stay on the line. How long? You're in off the road. Sir, I want you to stay right where you're at, sir. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to do something with it. Yep, we're going to... I'm going to put the phone down. Can you get her out of the vehicle, sir? I got her out. Okay, I want you to lay her flat on the ground. I got her flat. I know first aid, but I don't know what to do with this. Okay, listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Place the heel of your hand on her breastbone, right between her nipples. I know how to do that. The other hand is the top. I know how to do that. Pump the chest hard and fast. He's got blood coming out of his mouth. That's okay. Go ahead and pump it twice per second and 2 inches deep, okay? Okay. Let the chest come up all the way between the pumps. I'll come back in a minute. Okay, keep going, sir. She was breathing out her ear, too. Okay. I hit her hard when she whipped around. Okay. Holy fuck, are you hurrying? They're coming, Todd. Keep on going. The best thing we can do for her right now is to continue with that CPR. You got her. Hurry up. Hurry up. Okay. Hurry up. Hurry up. You're going to be okay, Barb. You're going to be okay, Barb. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, Barb. You're going to be okay. First responders are on scene, I know that. All right, sounds great. Thank you. Yep, bye. Bye-bye.
First responders then arrived on the scene and immediately began applying first aid to Barbara. Within minutes, an officer also arrived with a dash cam set to record.
Wasn't that bad?
No,
Was bad? I know CPR first aid. Come on, Barb.
Take him. Sir, come on over with me, okay? Go out the office. Come with me. Who is this?
My wife.
It's your wife? Okay. What happened? Do you know what happened?
There's
Okay.
a pipe.
Okay. Come up here by the thing.
She'll
Okay.
be all right.
I don't know. Okay, let first responders and stay right here, okay? There's a pipe in the ground.
No, it would come out of that tree off a truck.
Up a truck.
A truck or a trailer or something. I think it was a truck with a flatbed on it.
And the truck just kept going.
I don't know if he fell through it.
I didn't see what. Okay. Were you in the car with her?
I was driving.
Okay. All right, stay right here. Okay.
Is she all right?
I don't know. Let first responders and everybody deal with them, okay?
I tried to catch it.
Catch the pipe.
I tried to see it. I hit it. I went to hit it, but the windshield got me.
It came across the windshield.
It came through the windshield.
Okay, just stay right here.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We gotta hurry.
They're working.
She's not good. She's spitting blood out of her mouth.
They're dealing with her, okay? They're dealing. Let them deal with it, okay? His first name's Todd, right?
Yeah, Kendhammer.
Yep. Okay, Todd. Let them do what they can, okay? You were driving. She was in the passenger seat, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just stay right here with me, okay?
I gotta go with her. She gotta go with her.
Well, if she goes to the hospital, we'll see if you can go with her, okay? Okay? All right. Stay right here, okay? Just stay right here. Where did the pipe go?
I got her out here on the road. And I was so fucking freaked out. I didn't know it was this bad. I turned and she started flopping and flailing. And so I went quick to turn around and I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I got her out of the car and I seen she bleed out of her mouth, so I started doing CPR.
Where were you guys headed?
I gotta take her to work.
Okay.
And I gotta go pick up a windshield. I gotta put a windshield in the car.
Well,
I was gonna run up the street over there because we went last time it wasn't.
just hang tight.
Oh my God, it's like CPR.
Why don't you just lean against here, okay? Just lean. You start. Okay, Todd, listen to me. Through the nose, deep breaths. You're starting to hyperventilate, okay? Through the nose, out the mouth. Slow down. Through the nose, out the mouth. Through the nose, out the mouth. Let them work with her, okay? Through the nose, out the mouth. Slow down. Where were you traveling when this pipe came through the window?
Right here.
You were turning into here?
No, I was coming up the highway.
So you were heading northbound on M and going to turn into here.
Yep. And I just glanced and seen it. I didn't get it in time.
Okay.
I looked up, we were bullshitting and talking, and I looked up to see the vehicle coming.
Okay. The county guy comes here, he'll take over, and then I'm going to go look for that pipe, okay?
I pulled it out of the windshield.
You pulled it out of the windshield?
It's sitting right beside the car.
Okay.
As you may have already noticed, Todd's story is beginning to sound more and more bizarre. As we just witnessed, when the police arrived on the scene, Todd was still acting very erratic. His anxiety was through the roof, and his communication skills were slightly hindered. He was constantly repeating himself, and he was noticeably hyperventilating at times. Based on the way that this crime scene was discovered, law enforcement was immediately beginning to question the story that Todd was telling. When Todd was asked what happened in more detail, Todd went on to claim that a blue or green or possibly even black truck with a makeshift flatbed had driven past them and a pipe had fallen off the truck and impaled the windshield of their Toyota Camry. Todd quickly reacted. He then punched towards the pipe and tried to block it or catch it, which then resulted in injuries to his knuckles as well as a second impact crack on the windshield. He claimed that the pipe had hit his wife, causing her to flail her arms and legs before she then became unresponsive. He then accidentally put the car into reverse and reversed the car into the ditch, explaining the awkward resting position of the car. He then exited his side of the car, walked around to the front of the car, and removed the pipe which was still sitting inside the windshield. He placed the pipe on the ground next to the car, and then removed Barbara from her seat. He began CPR and called 911. After the responders arrive, speak to Todd, and provide immediate first aid to Barbara, they determined that Barbara's injuries were far too severe to treat on scene and transported her to the local hospital. Todd was also taken to the hospital to be by her side. The following day, on September 17, 2016, Barbara Kendhammer passed away as a result of the injuries that she sustained during the apparent freak accident. Law enforcement became very suspicious fairly quickly and continued to investigate the claims made by Todd, and eventually, on December 6, 2016, Todd Kendhammer was charged with the first-degree murder of Barbara Kendhammer.
3 months after a West Salem woman died from what was believed to be a freak accident, her own husband is now charged with killing her.
News 8's Madeline O'Neill now joins us in the newsroom with the latest.
Martha and Mike, a homicide charge against 46-year-old Todd Kendhammer has been filed today after an investigation shows he may be lying about how his wife died. Kendhammer and his wife Barbara were allegedly in a car accident in September near the intersection of County Road M and Burgum Cooley Road in the township of Hamilton. Kendhammer told the La Crosse County Sheriff's Department his wife was injured when a pipe fell off a truck and crashed through the windshield of the car he was driving, hitting Barbara in the passenger seat and knocking her unconscious. She died the next day. But after further investigation by the La Crosse County Sheriff's Department, authorities say that story doesn't add up, and they charged Todd Kendhammer with first-degree intentional homicide.
In order to place charges against Todd, authorities relied on the initial observations made and suggested that Barbara's injuries were inconsistent with a 53-inch pipe coming through the windshield. They cited healing abrasions and contusions on bilateral hands and irregular torn fingernail margins on 2 fingers. They also pointed out that the windshield had been struck more than once. And there was some confusion over Todd's statements that he was on his way to pick up a truck that he was going to repair.
I was taking her to work if the truck wasn't there. If we couldn't get the truck, I would take her to work, and then I just pick her up after work.
Okay.
Todd immediately entered a plea of not guilty and was being held until a bail hearing could take place. Prosecutors initially sought out a bail of $1 million, but the judge felt that was far too high and ended up setting the bail at $250,000. Todd posted his bail very quickly, the day immediately following the bail hearing. Prosecutors quickly began building their case towards Todd, while Todd also sought out an attorney to defend him during trial. After about a year, the trial of Todd Kendhammer began on December 5th, 2017, and this is where things get even more uncertain.
Good morning. As I told you before, my name is Tim Grinking. I'm representing the state in this case. Sitting with me at council table is Assistant District Attorney Susan Donsky, as well as Captain John Zimmerman from La Crosse County Sheriff's Department. He will be testifying a number of times throughout the case. And I realize that as I stand here, I have a difficult job. I need to convince you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant in this case killed his wife of 25 years, Barbara Kendhammer. I understand the burden that I have, and I accept the burden gladly. That's my job, and that's what I do. This is a sensitive case. This is a very serious case. There's going to be a lot of emotion in this case. And I will do my best to treat everybody with dignity and respect as we go through the facts of this case.
The prosecution went on to present a case against Todd, which was built with much more evidence disproving his claims than previously mentioned. The prosecution presented the inconsistencies that they discovered with Todd's story. They discovered that the man who owned the truck was completely unaware that Todd was planning on coming by to view and pick up the truck that day.
You are Jerry logging, correct?
Jared logging.
And do you go by Jerry?
At times, yes.
And do you have a brother Barry?
Yes.
And a brother Terry?
Yes.
Is there another brother?
Yes.
What's his name?
Gary.
Okay. If I get mixed up in this, you let me know.
That's why I'm Jared.
Good.
Had you talked to Mr. Kendhammer about fixing a windshield on that truck in 2016? Do you have 2 brothers that work at Crown Cork and Seal with Mr. Kendhammer?
Yes.
Are you close to them?
Not really.
Did you talk to them at all about needing a windshield for that truck?
No.
Had you had that windshield in that truck replaced or fixed?
I've had it fixed, yes.
When was that?
That was in 2014 in December. I had, my insurance company took care of it. I had full coverage on the truck. There was a rock chip in it. They fixed it. They had one small rock chip below the wiper that they didn't do, and it's still there.
They found conflicting information based on Todd's claims regarding what time Barbara needed to be at work. Although Todd was always transparent regarding Barbara being late that morning, he still mentioned several times that she was supposed to be at work for 8:30, when she actually started at 8 a.m. every day. He also stated that Barbara was perfectly fine arriving slightly late for work. After speaking with several of Barbara's coworkers, This is completely out of character for Barbara. They all would state that Barbara was incredibly punctual and would always arrive on time, if not early. She was so punctual, in fact, that her boss began calling her slightly after 8 a.m. to make sure that something hadn't happened.
There were a number of times where you tried to manipulate the police, didn't you?
Explain manipulate.
Well, you were lying about a work schedule, right?
No.
You said a number of times she had to be at work at 8:30. You never said 8.
No.
Even though you knew every other day she worked at 8.
Yes.
Never once mentioned that, did you?
No.
You hoped they wouldn't check it out.
No, I didn't.
After further investigation of Barbara's injuries, it was found that Barbara was discovered with injuries to her neck that were consistent with strangulation. They also found that Barbara had wounds all over her body, not just injuries limited to her head, neck, and back. Even after a forensic pathologist ruled out any injuries that were possibly obtained as a result of CPR, it was found that Barbara was likely struck multiple different times. They also found signs of a struggle, which included scratch marks on Todd's neck and chest, as well as Todd's DNA underneath Barbara's fingernails. Let's not forget the injuries that Todd had on his knuckles. Todd claimed that he received these injuries when he reacted to the pipe and tried to block or catch the pipe as it broke through the window. Let's now indulge in the world of fantasy for a moment and imagine ourselves in a vehicle with a pipe hurtling towards the windshield at an extremely high speed. To believe that Todd had the reflexes capable of even getting his hand in the way of the pipe in order to catch it or block it is fairly difficult. There is many different dashcam videos which can be found online where similar scenarios occur, but in nearly all of them, it appears the driver would need to harness the performance of one of the most athletic people in the world in order to react in time. Not that it isn't at all possible, but it does seem highly unlikely that this is how Todd injured his hands. Todd made other claims, that maybe he tried to push the pipe out of the windshield from the inside before exiting and pulling the pipe out, and maybe that was how the injuries to his knuckles occurred. However, it also seems unlikely that he would be pushing with his fist. The prosecution also went on to discredit the way that Todd claimed that the accident happened. They did this by playing video-recorded experiments for the court, demonstrating that the pipe would not have traveled or bounced the way that Todd claimed that it did. Although it appears as though the pipe flying or bouncing directly into the oncoming vehicle's windshield would be extremely unlikely, there is still a number of factors that are impossible to duplicate that could have made an impact on the way this scenario played out. Investigators also canvassed the local area after the accident, searching for cameras that were directed towards the road that the accident occurred on. They found one camera that was recording that morning, and when they reviewed the footage, they were not able to see any flatbed trucks passing by around the time of the accident. Another inconsistency was determined by a glass expert, who claimed that the way that the windshield was damaged appeared as though it was struck 3 times. They also believed that the vehicle must have been parked with the passenger door open at the time, based on the way the shattered glass was found inside the vehicle. Strangely enough, Barbara was also found to have no glass on her at all. Finally, the prosecution had obtained a statement from a witness who drove past the crime scene at 8:02 or 8:03 a.m. This witness stated that although they did see Todd's Toyota Camry awkwardly parked on the shoulder of the road as visible in the crime scene photos, they did not see either Todd or Barbara inside or around the vehicle. They also stated that when they passed by, the Toyota Camry's windshield was still fully intact.
You don't know how the scratches got on your body?
No. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
In Madison, they took samples from underneath Barb's fingernails.
Okay.
So you know that.
Okay.
Those are going to go for analysis.
Okay. And that's perfectly fine.
And if those come back, and those are skin samples from you, how is that going to be explained? That's what's going to come back.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me this stuff now, and then I try to come up with a scenario, and it's going to sound like I'm just pulling straws out. I don't.
Incident happened.
And I want to solve this. as well as you do?
You can.
And I'm telling you.
You can solve this for us.
I'm telling you. I do not know how everything happened, but I can tell you I did not.
What's going to happen when those samples from underneath her fingernails come back as your skin samples?
How could that be through my shirt? Could it?
You didn't have your shirt on.
Oh, come on, serious? Man, I'm getting a little bit nervous here.
I'm telling you, well, look at this.
Should I have somebody in here to help me, or
I'm just asking how?
Just ask me this. Should I have somebody in here to help me?
That's for you to decide.
I don't think I need anybody.
Then it's your decision. I'm trying to get explanations on this. That's an injury that occurred that you have no explanation for.
Exactly.
And put it all together. You got to look at our.
I know. I understand
the totality of everything that we've uncovered in this.
Yes.
And there's so much far-fetched.
Right.
There's things that are not. That can't happen here. It didn't happen like that. It didn't. All these things we're putting together. We don't have an explanation for that.
And
we've got samples. We're going to have skin samples underneath Barbara's nails. I'd be willing to bet that.
And could it be?
Because she gave you a hug?
No. Come on, guys. Let's be real, okay? That's not right for talking.
I know. We want the truth.
I'm trying to give you the truth. I'm giving you everything I can tell you.
The 3 deep cuts in the back of the head and a broken skull.
From where? From how?
Impact from the back.
I don't get it.
From somebody hitting her with an object, slamming her head against the garage floor.
The injuries on her body are not consistent. Did not happen in the manner in which you are telling us. Pipe, in your explanation, then rolls off, flies to the side, goes all the way to the opposite side of your vehicle, and goes through the windshield. And that's the laws of physics is impossible.
I can show you right here, nothing's impossible anymore.
Where?
This accident right here that we're dealing with.
I'm saying that the accident, that pipe, as it rolls off, is going to roll and drop straight down. It's not going to continue on going that way. It's a flat road. Something happened that you're not telling us.
Okay.
You
I
know
appreciate your time.
You know the injuries are what they are. They didn't occur as you said them. You're the only one that was there. You're the only one that knows.
I am Barb.
And you know everything. Yeah, Barb, we can't ask Barb, how can we?
We can't.
We can't ask Barb, we can ask you. And you're the only one that's going to be able to tell us. In her memory, you're the only one that's going to be able to tell us.
Yep.
Someday you're going to. I think you're going to.
In this case, did you reach a conclusion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty about the cause of Barbara Kendhammer's injuries?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the jury what that opinion is?
I think the injuries here are entirely consistent with the accident as was described by Mr. Kendhammer.
Will you explain to the jury why?
I will explain why I think and what I think happened in this. Now, first of all, several things about car accidents. One, the time frame is incredibly compressed. This is all, the amount of the serious injuries that she sustained in this all happened within 2 to 3 seconds. This is an incredibly rapid process. If you see what happens, you've seen slow-mo videos of crash dummies and stuff to see how it is, but even in your own vehicles, the reaction time you have on things happening is a very short period of time. Pipe's coming towards the windshield. You pick it up somewhere because motion, your brain has wonderful visual receptors where you see something, and if it changes an emotion pattern, it sets off a bit of a warning to you. All of us driving have probably at least had a pebble hit the windshield or something that was a rock. Most of us have had it where we've seen it just a fragment of a second before it hit the windshield, tiny ones, or sometimes you just heard it and reacted a little bit. I have had the displeasure of having a rock about the size of a baseball come from behind a truck and hit right about where I would have been positioned in terms of driving when I was driving with my family one time and on a trip in Wyoming. You could see it, I could see it coming in, but I'll tell you, you didn't pick that up until just before it comes and hits, because everything's moving at high speed. Your instantaneous reaction to that is to try and get out of the way of that or to block it. You do one of the two things, and most people, the normal reaction is to duck. You're going to see that, and I ducked. When this happened, I was like this. My kids all laughed. They saw it hit. It put a hole about this big in the windshield, but it didn't come through. So glass splattered a little bit. But I ducked. I actually hit the steering wheel with my forehead. I'm wearing a seatbelt, because if you don't brake, your seatbelt doesn't just stop you right away from moving forward. That was my reaction to it. If you see something like this coming at you, your natural reaction is to try and duck. The other thing you do is you tense. Your body is very tense when this happens. If you see a flight or danger, everything is tense acutely. This is why in a lot of accidents in the past, when people were drunk driving, that was the person who didn't seem to get hurt. And you've certainly seen that in the news and other stuff, because they're relaxed. They're not in a position where everything is tense, so some of the absorption of the energy happens naturally when people are relaxed. But you see something coming at the windshield. Now, he tries to hit the windshield. The windshield has a dent going outward, so he obviously had to have hit the windshield to make a dent go outward. That's a reaction. You're trying to do something. What's going to happen with your left hand when that occurs? You ever reached across to just get something in the car? You're going to pull the wheel. So you're going to have a little of this action happening in the car when this happens. It's going to go side to side and sway a little bit. That's his side of the car. Her side, she sees this coming. She ducks. That's the only thing she can really effectively do is try and duck. Now she's holding a large coffee mug.
Can I stop you right there?
That's I saw a picture of it. I didn't see the mug before, but yes, a large coffee mug, a rigid coffee mug. She's holding this. Maybe had just taken a sip of coffee. Now sees this. She goes to duck, gets as low as she can forward. Pipe comes in. First blow, the long laceration is the pipe. Now the pipe, when Hollywood puts a pipe through a windshield, it goes right through you. Okay, pins you to the seat. Depends if it's Quentin Tarantino, then it goes to your forehead, but Hollywood has the pipe always go through you. Stuff comes in, it moves. In this case, it doesn't have to go through you to do damage to you. It comes in right next to her, bam, she's right next to her, she's going in, she's heading into it, side of the pipe. That's the blow that created the bleed in the brain and knocked her unconscious right at that moment.
Doctor, may I interrupt you?
Yes.
The jury has seen this photograph before.
That's the bigger of the two. And this is a fairly typical thing you see in your scalp. Has 7 layers from the top of your skin down to the bone. And some of them are fascial layers, and that's what you're seeing underneath. But when you crush, when you smash down on something, if you slice through it, if you have something sharp, it's a clean cut, and you will just see scalp and both edges. When you smash down, it has to separate the skin, so it tears it apart, and the tears are often irregular, like you're seeing there. You will have little bands that will connect. It sometimes almost looks stellate, like you can have parallel cuts even sometimes with them, depending on how it hit. But it will have that kind of almost a shredded sort of a look, because it tears it apart rather than cuts it. It's from an impact force. So this blow smacked on the head. Now she's tense, she's tightened up, she's going forward as hard as she can to try and avoid this. This pipe whacks her, okay? Natural reaction of a blow anywhere here is going to knock you down. It's going to knock her down right into this if this is sitting on her lap. This has busted off right in here. This, if you've gotten it right here on your neck coming up, in a hard blow that you're unconscious have been snapped down to it, can now break your hyoid bone, create all these injuries on the anterior neck, and crush the anterior airway here. And in addition, what does that do? Now as you've done that, you've hyperextended the neck from this, which will do the compression injuries right down the lower spine where she had some compression spots. So those That's 3 injuries right there, all in that first half second or 3/4 of a second. Bam, bam, bam. Now as she does this, she's unconscious. Now you've got an unconscious person in a car that is likely got a swerve or two in it right at that point. Because again, you punch the windshield, you're gonna turn that left hand a bit on the wheel and you're gonna swerve. Now you have an unconscious person that does this, okay, for a second or two. Again, this is all in this first 2 seconds. Now that pipe, if I've turned, I can come back and I can hit it on an angle, so I can have the second cut be at a 90-degree angle to the first one. This is a smaller cut, less force. And that's likely to be the case. She's not forcing it into it. The pipe is now sitting there and not coming in with impact force. Smaller cut, smaller force. Makes sense in terms of this. Now she's flopped around and fallen down and can be starting to seize, from what I understand he's looking at. Certainly been a possibility that she's doing some seizure activity with this at this point because of the brain damage. Seizure activity can throw her into stuff as well a little bit, because that's a forceful action happening here below the neck. Her head's not necessarily doing anything with it, but if the body jerks, her head's going to move a little bit with it. So it's possible she's getting some further injuries or bangs that occur. Then you pull off the road and you try and take her out of the car. There is nothing harder to move than a human body that is unconscious.
Todd Kendhammer's defense did the best that they could to combat the prosecution's solid case against Todd. They provided numerous expert testimonies, scientists, character witnesses, and went over Todd's squeaky clean criminal record and almost perfect relationship with his wife. They attacked every piece of evidence being used against Todd and came up with several different arguments, all cementing the point that this was a freak accident. Both Todd's direct family, as well as Barbara's family, stood behind him, and to this day, full-heartedly believe in his innocence. They have even gone on to create a website to support him. Despite putting up a good fight, Todd Kendhammer was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Barbara Kendhammer. On December 14th, 2017, Todd was sentenced to life in prison and is eligible for parole after serving 30 years. Since being convicted, Todd has not given up his fight. He has since gone on to hire one incredibly familiar attorney to represent him during his appeals process. The attorney that he now has working on his case is Jerry Buting, the same attorney that represented Stephen Avery in the hit Netflix documentary Making a Murderer. Todd and Jerry returned to court in August of 2021 for an evidentiary hearing with the hopes of exoneration or the chance at a new trial. They have since filed for an extension for more time to work on the case. This is likely not the last that we will hear of the case of Todd Kendhammer.
I think the injuries here are entirely consistent with the accident as was described by Mr. Kendhammer.